because today is somewhat of a special day in the TCG, because the Chronicles deck is releasing today, and the Chronicles deck is a pretty cool product for I guess all kinds of different players, because it's gonna make branded hopefully a pretty accessible and more budget strategy, and it also brings a couple of new cards. And so today I want to take a little bit of a look at branded for current TCG format, and I guess some of this might also be a takeaway for the current Master Duel format, because branded is also a viable deck in Master Duel. In both formats, from my perspective, branded is fine, while not in top tier. In both formats, I think it's playable. So because I personally am not the biggest branded expert, you know, I've played branded. I've played branded in the past. I topped like a regional with it in like 2022, but that was way back when people still called it branded Despia, because there was a lot of Despia cards in there. It feels like ages ago. In recent times, there's definitely people that have played more branded than I have, and so today I have invited someone who's been making a lot of content about branded. It was just the first person I was able to think of when I was thinking of branded, and that is Galzo. So we're gonna have Galzo on stream in a second, and we're gonna talk about branded and maybe discuss the position of branded in the current format, as well as like how would you play it, what are the reasons to play it, how good are the new cards from the branded structure deck in it, because there's a new quick play spell card and there's also a new fusion monster, all the good stuff. Those are things that I wanna talk about, and I want Galzo to walk me through it. So we're gonna have Galzo on for this segment and talk about some branded. So let me set that up real quick. Dude, the Halloween friggin' Discord sounds threw me off there for a second.
That was awful.
Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No worries, no worries. Okay, so I see that you turned on your face cam. Give me a second.
If you want. Yeah.
I can put you up on screen, but I do need you to give me the face cam in a different manner. Hold up.
Man, it's been a crazy 24 hours for branded Andes. I gotta tell you that.
Oh yeah, we can talk about the new cards too.
Did you react to them already?
I've read them yesterday. Yeah, it was very rude because they interrupted my Pokemon stream.
Oh yeah, that's pretty rude.
Okay, you are on screen. Okay, so I wanna divide this into a couple of segments before we start actually building the branded list for a current format, I guess. The first thing I want to do is talk about the reasons to play branded in the current format outside of I like branded.
Yes. And you want me to answer that?
Well, I want you to answer the question because you are definitely more of a branded expert than I am.
Yes.
And maybe the answer to this question is the only reason to play branded is because you like it, which is also fair enough. But then maybe walk me through what you think are some of the strengths of branded over maybe your Mitsurugi Yami, your Pure Mitsu, your Draco Tail, and so on. Like what does branded do better than any of those decks? Because it's not handling D-barrier.
It's not handling D-barrier. I think that now that we got a glimpse into, I mean, it does to some respect, but of course, like any deck can play around a certain like game-ending floodgate for its whole like archetype. But
right.
I think that things that I would consider, first of all, I think branded now is like more attainable than ever. There are so many good reprints here. All the Bystials. You got Lubellion. And they smartly didn't include Sanctifier, so it's to
is that smart though?
You to. No, because it's gonna rise up in price, and it's a good card to do certain things. And of course, in Draco Tail, it's obviously pretty crucial card to get your engine going.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on the other hand, I think it will dissuade some people from including it, which is, you know, it's not good that cards are $40. That's like period, right? So I think the first reason to play branded is that now I think a lot of my friends, a lot of people who like know me online, tell me all of a sudden, well, now I have a way that is like different from the past where I can get like 3 structure decks. The whole thing is in there. It's all hollow, which is also, I think, incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also besides the alt arts, which are cool, there are 2 cards that are pretty good. One of them is exceptionally good. I think the quick play.
Yeah.
So that's another layer to playing branded that you wouldn't have before. And because it's so attainable, I think that more people will be just naturally incentivized to play it because this is a good product to buy. I'm not affiliated with Konami, but I can tell you that the value in this deck is just incredible. I think everybody can understand and appreciate the fact that you got your Thrust and the Lubellion and the Blackout Laugh. It's just a really good product. So already that gets you in the door to picking this up and maybe giving it a try. The second layer of this is that now that we have a little bit of a glimpse into the future with what's coming to Branded, and I think that the future of Branded is so different from what we've experienced so far. You're going into synchros, you're going into ecclesias.
Yeah.
That really changes what people think of Branded, and maybe not the boring line of I will resolve Branded Fusion or I lose. So that's like a good long-term investment.
Right. That is something I especially want to talk about once we've gone through like how you would currently play the deck. I want to look at the new cards because they very fundamentally shift the direction that Branded wants to be played, I suppose. Or if that's even the preferred way to play Branded, because I still think Branded Fusion is such a powerful card that I feel like it's almost weird that they printed it so early on for the deck, because I feel like it was very hard for them to ever push Branded into a different direction with there was a lot of cool synchro stuff that came out for Branded afterwards, but it never caught on. You know, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone summon a synchro with Quem in actual Branded decks, because it's just always the Branded Fusion direction is so tempting, so powerful, and it takes a lot of good reasons to not activate that card.
Yeah, that's true. We've always had Nash on the Branded synchro train.
Right.
He's been on that since like I think it was like Cyberstorm Access when Lulu came out and Bestial Despotter, and then you can just play it. I think it really tries to take the deck into more directions, maybe not a different directions, but more directions.
Yeah.
The new Albaz is really, really versatile. Like it's basically Ice Ryzeal for a lot of different things.
Right.
And you can just normal summon it and not get locked. I think in terms of meta implication for today, we're looking at Draco Tail, we're looking at Yummy, we're looking at Yummy Mitsu. I think that one thing that bothers this deck a bit could be Herald of the Arclight.
Right.
I think games against Mitsurugi, games against Pure Yummy, Draco Tail a little bit as well. Your Branded has always been a deck that has a very good engine going second. Six cards that are all engine in hand, maybe a Droplet, maybe a Super Poly, could deal with a lot of these things. And I like to say now that we're looking at a light dark meta in terms of like Yummy Mitsurugi. It's really good for the new fusion that requires like you can clear up 2 bodies and put up a small little towers on the board.
Right.
So I think again, Branded has always been I think it has been a pretty skill intensive deck. People have been playing the deck for a while, and it takes time to learn these ins and outs and the sequencing, because every hand is a 5 or 6 card combo. Like that's the nature of Branded.
Right.
You need to put the puzzle together in order to break it. So I think it's a good investment to start looking into it, trying it in the current format, and it has a really good future. So I think even if it's not the best deck in this format, it can deal. And I've seen people playing like Brandon in the current format and doing well. So it's always good to try up something new if you haven't.
Yeah, Branded in hindsight now is like one of those decks that it was a good pickup even like 2 or 3 years ago for anyone who picked it up, because it was always like sort of playable. It's one of my favorite examples in terms of like where I would want balancing to be at, even though some of the win conditions the deck has used in the past, mainly due to Expulsion and Sanctifier, I was not the biggest fan of those. But just in terms of raw power level, like where it was at in most Yu-Gi-Oh metas, it was pretty well balanced, I would say, because for the longest time it kept getting new cards, but those new cards only kept it alive. They never pushed it over the top, where like now Branded is Snake Eye level broken and gets even more like Azamina cards or whatever. It was always like, okay, this is this lore archetype that is somehow surviving on tier 1.5, tier 2 level for years. and they don't manage to make that happen super often. Like that is something I feel like special about Branded, where people have picked up the archetype and have been able to play it for a long time at a pretty competent level. And I do think in the current format, an opening that I do see for this deck is really at beating those kind of like lower ceiling type of decks. I think going second with a super high engine deck like this, you're going to struggle into stuff like K9 Crystron. I don't expect that the list we're going to do today is going to have a great chance against K9 Crystron, especially going second. Like going first, we might be fine into it, but going second is going to be hard because we're never going to be building this deck as like a hand trap deck and have like enough ways to stop that deck from setting up like a Mjolnir lock or anything like that. But it's been proven that high engine decks like Yami Mitsu can easily beat decks like Pure Yami or Pure Draco Tail or Pure Mitsu going second. And specifically in a format where Super Poly is a very, very potent card, I think that's where I would see Branded. I would see Branded, at least that's how I would approach it when we're building it in a second, is I would like to play like high engine, maybe Fuvas or probably Fuvas, probably Super Polys, and then maybe some other like thrust droplet type breakers, and try to beat like the lower ceiling decks going second consistently, and probably throw the K9 Crystron matchup out of the window if we're not drawing Fuva, because I'm not sure how else we're going to deal with that.
Yeah, that's a bit rough, but I think they're like in every format, some decks can FTK you, some decks can do it more consistently than others. Playing a deck like this, even even Triff's deck from YCS Lima, it was, I think. I don't think he had a lot of hand traps, or if not at all.
It didn't even play Fuva. It was just basically just breakers, and I think it had Ash to beat opponents' Fuvas, but it was essentially the same ideas, like very high engine, very high power, beat the fair decks in the format, and then if you're playing against K9 Crystron, it's a coin flip, or Onomat Ryziel or whatever. So yeah, we can maybe afford like Droll or Fuva, like the high impact ones we could throw in there.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think we can really mess around with actually trying to stop these types of decks consistently.
Listen, just be like Triff. FTKs don't exist. The format is fair. The format is fun.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Balls to the wall. It's okay.
Yeah, the barrier is not a floodgate.
No, not at all. No.
Okay, before we build the deck, how many there's only 2 new cards here, so we can go over these relatively quickly. You already said the more exciting one is the quick play spell card, and I do agree this card is the more exciting one, but I've been wondering, because I've been looking at this card from the perspective of various other decks, because in my opinion this is a very, very good generic card. And I'm not sure, or I wasn't sure how excited Branded players are specifically for this card in Branded, because the way I'm looking at this card is, well, send one monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz from your extra to the grave, target a face-up card in the field, destroy it. On a quick play spell, very simply in basically every deck, also particularly good in Genesis format, because that format is a little slower and lower powered. You just send an Albion from the extra deck to the graveyard, which gets you another copy of this in the end phase. And so you can basically, one copy searches the next one for the next turn. That's how I've been looking at this card in other decks, as just like a generic quick play, pop a face-up card on the field and get another copy in the end phase. I've been wondering how this slots into Branded, because from my perspective, Branded is already full with essentially a lot of searchable one-ofs, a lot of searchable like engine pieces, engine requirements, and already has a very, very strong grind game. So how necessary is this card really? And do we play one to search it occasionally? Do we play multiple? Like, is this ever better to set off of an Albion in the end phase than a Branded in red, or a Branded Banishment, or any of that sorts?
Yeah, when you're looking at a deck like Branded and you're building the deck, especially with a new card that, I mean, this card is very complex in terms of the things that you can do with it. So when you're looking at Branded and you're building Branded, you're always gonna have to think like about main phase 3. What happens in main phase 3 during my end phase? When, like, for example, you said, do I set this over Branded in red? It's always situational, right? But I think that this card, like plain and simple in terms of strategy of this deck, this card serves multiple purposes, and this card can be an extender and advantage to your combo as well as an interruption. So I think the way I've been looking at it now, and also the second effect shouldn't be like ignored completely.
Right, I was
I
about to
think
say, like, of course, when we're playing this in branded, we can actually also use the second ability here, which is if we have an Ecclesia in field or graveyard, we can reborn a monster in either grave, which I guess on a
Yeah.
quick play spell might sometimes even be the stronger disruption.
sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah,
which
definitely
I
depending on
guess
the matchup.
I guess it plays into the new card a lot more because it's going to be a lot easier to make that live with the new support. Because at least at the moment, are we going to play an Ecclesia monster for now?
That kind of depends. That kind of depends on you. If
Okay,
you want to make the Stigmata Devouring Dragon more consistently, the
right.
normal combo sets up Ecclesia as part of your end board so that you have a quick play Albaz on your opponent's turn that makes the towers an actual towers. And
Okay.
again, you're gonna have an Ecclesia in rotation, so you can do whatever you want. Obviously, it becomes so much easier in the future when you have the Synchro
Right.
Ecclesia and stuff like that, but it shouldn't be completely disregarded, and it will come up if people do decide to play Ecclesia in their deck.
Of course.
I think this card, from two dimensions, one outside of branded, this card is just generically good, especially as you said in Genesis. And Genesis format already communicated that this card, enjoy it this weekend. It's gonna get points next.
It's gonna get
next
points,
week
but
on
it's
Monday.
probably still fine. I would easily pay
Yeah.
10 points for this, I think, as like a
Exactly.
as like
That's
a,
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It was gonna get 10.
Yeah.
In branded, I think currently we play 3. I think this is the
Okay.
TLDR.
Okay.
I've been testing a lot, like different lines and combos, and it can come up where you use one of these to pop up like a spare Lubellion or Kit on your field to get another body engraved, and
Oh,
then
you pop your
even
own
set
card.
one. Yeah, you could.
Mhm.
Imperm and Veiler, you can dodge Imperm and Veiler with this if you open it in your opening
Right.
hand, so you don't always have to rely on Cartesia.
Mhm.
Even though Imperm, like right now, are not like super main deck, but again, it's just like generic
Yeah,
cards
yeah.
that we'll see play over and over. So I think currently, this card is a 3 in my deck at least.
Okay. No, I'm down. I'm happy
Yeah.
to include some new approaches into the list today because I mean that's the whole point is like trying the deck post Chronicles deck. So if there is a version out there that we can try that might be better than before, or even if it ends up being worse, I like trying the new cards. So before we get to building that, though, I quickly want to talk about the new fusion monster because that one I think is arguably, I mean, it's not bad, but it's arguably a little rough because branded extra deck I feel like is already a whole topic in and of itself where like it's so tight. So of course the unique thing about this card I guess is two things. It requires Albaz and 2 other monsters, which is any effect monster and any light or dark. So it gives you the ability to fuse away 3 monsters with Albaz, which is new. I believe the only other card that was able to do that was Alba Lenitus if there's a bunch of dragons. But other than that, it was always Albaz plus 1 other monster on your opponent's side of the field. So this thing giving you the ability to super poly 2 monsters is interesting. At the same time, it gives you finally completely infinite grind game, right?
Yeah, theoretically, yes. If you don't use this as an interruption, branded's grind game is already supreme with like,
Yeah,
especially now with 2 branded fusions, it becomes a little bit more trivial just to grind. But yeah, like if you are in a pinch, shuffling any spent resources, your banished retribution or something like that, it's better for the grind game, and it's also a good interruption.
It's because you shuffle 2 cards from either your opponent's grave banishment or your own back. This includes everything, right? This includes even if your opponent rips something out of your extra deck with Kashtira Unicorn because it just specifies cards in banishment. That includes face down banished cards. So quite literally, you can no longer actually run out of a certain resource in branded as long as you will have a way to summon this. I guess if you somehow lose all of your Albaz, then you won't even be able to make this. But other than that, you can recycle everything in branded now. Yeah. Okay. Does this card make the cut?
I think for now it does.
Okay.
I think that for now it does. I think this is a new card. We want to experiment with this. I think that this has a few uses. So one, obviously, removing 2 bodies with Albaz, which is a pretty unique effect that doesn't target. Like Albaz's fusion effect is very, very unique across like Yu-Gi-Oh history because it is a very, very specific type of removal that like the only protection from it would be like either being unaffected or being unable to be used as fusion material. But
Yep.
besides that, like being sent to the graveyard, destroyed, stuff like that, it just
Yep.
runs over that. Especially now, I think with a meta that is dominated by lights and darks,
Yep.
it becomes even a little bit cooler to potentially try to take out 2 monsters with this.
Mhm.
And also, you just have a lot of gas from other directions as well.
Mhm.
And you do want to aspire to resolve Albus's fusion effect during your opponent's turn. Like this
Yeah.
is one of your interrupts.
It's almost weird that Albaz is once per turn to fuse, right? So I feel like at this point, Branded has like multiple ways and opportunities to fuse with it, because you can like summon it. You said we can include Ecclesia in the deck to summon it on the opponent's turn, but you also, I always, the most common way these days I run into it is like Rindbrum, where they bring it back from the graveyard. Like that
is like very common.
Yeah.
Quem can get it.
Yeah.
Ecclesia can get it. Like there's an infinite number of ways.
Yeah.
This eventually, like if you do decide to play an Ecclesia, even if you don't decide to play Ecclesia, I think this card is worth it just because of how strong it is.
Yeah.
But also, this card, besides the on-field effect and the trigger effect on summon, besides all of these, and it's potentially a 3,500 attack towers, which then your opponent has to deal with the Ecclesia in rotation before they deal with your board, which is already fair. It has a good end phase effect. It adds Mercurier at the end of the day.
That's new,
Sometimes,
right?
especially, that is not new because I think Brigand can add Tri-Brigade cards.
Brigand.
Yeah.
Is Brigand also the one that deals with Contact Sea, or is that Sprint?
That was Sprint. Yes, it's Sprint. It's the Spring Ends one. But now, theoretically, you can add Mercurier, because sometimes you're gonna have, especially with the Fallen and the Virtuous, you're gonna have so many cards going into the graveyard, like with Granguignol, with Branded Fusion, stuff, with the High Spirits. Your graveyard is gonna be so full that sometimes, I'll just send this, and instead of going for my Mercurier search on my opponent's turn with Branded Lost, I'll just get it now. I'll have it in the draw phase. I don't care. The other thing that this card can do, if you notice, it adds a Dogmatica or Tri-Brigade card. So this can add the Fallen and the Virtuous as well. If you are going into an end phase play where you want to play a little bit more in the end phase, you need another disruption, that does that as well.
Right. It is treated as Branded and Dogmatica. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So all things considered, only 2 new cards from the structure deck. I think that's still. I mean, I always say about new Branded support is I never want it to be too powerful, because like I said earlier, I think the cool thing about Branded is that it never was too broken, and I feel like the deck is still, even though it's not meta or like top tier meta at the moment, I still think it's like very close to breaking into that top tier position. If they make like even a single really powerful Branded card, I feel like it could easily be one of the best decks in the format, if not the best. So the fact that these cards are in quotation marks only okay or only good, in my opinion, is not a bad thing, because it just leans more into what I like about Branded design. But I'm happy to hear that they are able to be included in the deck, because ultimately that gives me the opportunity to play around with a new version of the deck, essentially. Even though I assume for now we're not gonna fundamentally change the way the deck works. I don't think we're gonna go into like a synchro direction yet. But we can talk about that once we're done building it. For now, what are dark mode? Okay, so do we still play 60 cards? Are we even going to attempt to make it any less than 60, or are we going to end up playing 60 cards?
I think the minimum for now would be like you could do whatever, right? I think that you can do from 45. I remember Pac once went to a tournament with Branded, and he was trying to cut down the fat like a lot, and he aimed for like 45 or something like that. I think that there's, for my build, this format, I have a version that is 50 cards, that is really tight. It doesn't play additional fluff. It doesn't also play Ecclesia specifically. It does play the Fallen and the Virtuous. And there's also a 60 card build that I think now with 2 Branded Fusion benefits a lot from cards like the Black Coat Laughs and Pot of Desires, which now with two branded fusion, your chance of banishing both goes down to like
Mm-hmm.
2.8%, something like that, with like 3%.
Okay.
So it's not as risky anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's up to you. I mean, you're a 60 card guy, aren't you? But you can go with 50 as well.
It's been a while, but okay, so why don't we go through this in steps? Why don't you walk me through, first of all, the cards that we will absolutely have to play? Like, which cards do you consider 100% mandatory at the moment? I'm assuming we start with at least 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz, or is that even something where you say, if we don't even play 3, even in 45?
I think 45 might be a bit ambitious. I think the minimum for me would be 50.
Okay.
Just so I'm able to include whatever, like everything that I want.
Mhm.
And I do think that 3 Albaz right now is mandatory. Again, you want to go over one in your combo, go over another one when you fuse on your opponent's turn. If you go for branded in red, you lose one, it's banished, and you want another one for the branded fusion follow-up. So it just makes sense to play 3.
Okay. Is it no matter what we do a triple Aluberang? I assume so.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think
okay, so I'm just gonna go through some of the things that I think are mandatory, and you just interrupt me whenever. So we're gonna have 3 Aluber, we're gonna have 2 branded fusions. We're probably playing branded Lost in no matter what version. We are playing some amount of Bestials. I would say the minimum is a Lubellion and a Serenir.
Yes, I would say that the way we want to play it today, I think it's going to be 3 Serenir.
3 Serenirs, okay.
Yeah.
Are we going to play Magnamut, or is that more like optional material?
I think Magnamut is a bit more optional. I think that Serenir, I think the 2 cards that... Okay, so you have 2 avenues when you start playing a branded turn. One of them is relying on your Aluber and Cartesia. The other one is relying on High Spirits and Serenir.
Right.
High Spirits and Serenir is full combo by itself. And these cards are very good. So currently I'm playing 3 Serenir. It could theoretically be 2 Serenir and 1 Magnamut if you want, but I think 3 Serenir is cool.
Okay. And High Spirits is going to be a 3 of at the moment?
Yes. This card is just a joker, to be honest. So good.
Granguignol 1 or 2?
I would say 2.
Okay.
I think Granguignol, 1 goes in your opening line combo. The other one is your opponent's turn. Fuse away a Mirror Jade and then bring it back with Quam. Makes Cartesia alive in more situations. So I think it's one of only 2 cards that we actually play into in the extra deck, which is surprising, but this card is very good.
And Cartesia.
I would go in 50. I would go for 2.
For 2.
Yeah.
Any fusion deployments?
Yeah, 3.
Nice. Alt arts.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have alt arts in this deck builder, but okay.
We're gonna play them.
Quem, 1 of?
I am currently playing 2. I do like that you have a way, because Granguignol's second effect to tag out and summon a Despia is it's pretty good, but like summoning a Queritus sometimes, or like a Priscinium, sometimes feels a bit bad. And having 2 Quem means that you can play around your opponent removing one of your Quems, and then the other Granguignol gets you the second one, and it doesn't even matter. So currently in my build, I am playing 2 Quems. I don't even consider it a normal summon, if you want to talk about like normal summon math, but it's like 5 normal summons, so it's not that bad in 50.
Okay. No, it's fine. I don't really have a set goal in mind in terms of how the list looks like. I just want to walk through some of the thought process on some of the things that are mandatory and some of the things that are optional, because even from the thing we just talked about, like everyone can understand that Quem is not necessarily always a 2 of, but you can play 1 as well if you want. Engine requirements. I'm probably forgetting some stuff. Branded in red.
Opening 3.
Branded opening. Do we play Tragedy still?
Yeah, we can play Tragedy. I think that Foolish Burial is a good card in this deck. It's also kind of a joker. It's like exactly the other piece you need. Right. And Tragedy is a good card. I do still play Tragedy. It's probably like possibly the worst card in the deck, but also it can open up a lot of like good plays. So I play the 1 Tragedy. I play 3 opening. Right. Branded in red. I think in terms of mandatory stuff, Branded Retribution, at least 1 copy of it is good. Mercurier and Springhand's Kit. Mercurier is a great card, and Springhand's Kit now can offer up a lot of lines of play, especially with the Fallen and the Virtuous. Like even searching the Fallen and the Virtuous with the Kit. Kit is a free special summon later on in the combo, so I think it's good.
Yeah.
And then you can decide if you want. I currently am playing Light and Darkness Dragonlord. 3 negates in your standby phase. It is a very cool card, which means that you do need to play Branded Banishment for that if you want, which is also a great card in my opinion.
Must be fusion summoned while face up on the field. It's just triple negate, right?
Yeah, so what you do is you set up a Albion fusion that was properly summoned and your Lubellion on field, and you fuse these two together to make your opponent needs to start with like into 3 Omni Negates, and then they continue playing. And it's on top of your board. 3 Shrouded is correct. And if we want to play 3 Virtuous, then we play 3 Virtuous as well.
Yeah, that card is not in this deck builder yet, but I don't think it's on any deck builder so far. So let me just
we can put in
it's like a random quick play spell that looks kind of like it. They're like a Dogmatica quick play spell or spell.
You can go with Light of the Branded.
Light of the Branded.
Yes. Keeping it in theme. There's Albez and Cartesia in the art. So.
Right.
Okay. And then Fusion Duplication. Essentially.
Oh yeah,
Konami
we're playing Thrust, right? Probably.
Has turned it. Yeah, we're playing 2 Thrust, just to keep it at.
Right. We'll do non-engine at the end, but I guess Fusion Duplication is kind of like.
I think that's the engine. Basically.
That is
you
the engine.
On like 1, 2, 3, 4. You should be on 46 cards. How many
40.
are you on? This is 40. So
there you go. I managed to make it 40.
Oh, there you go. Just ship it. I think it might be non-engine from here on out, but we'll find out soon.
Any gold strike?
Yeah, it is.
No gold strike for the.
No.
Okay.
No, not in the 50 cards. You could play Gold Sark, but the problem is that once you banish, like it's only good target is the Mercurier. You could do it with Tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that if you have a line to Mercurier and a Gold Sark, it becomes kind of redundant. So I don't like playing it in the 50. It's not necessarily needed. You just want to search it off of Lost, and it's fine. I think that's the engine.
Okay.
The main deck.
Okay, so non-engine, I want Super Poly in the current format.
Good man.
I want Uva. I want Roll.
Ooh.
And
Spicy.
I think I want Droplet. So we're already past 50. I don't mind going past 50 because we're probably playing some triple tactics as well. Like I don't mind making this like for now a little bulkier, and then we can trim some stuff later. But this is what I would say is the non-engine that realistically makes games winnable going second for a high engine deck at the moment. In TCG, because I feel like if you draw a Super Poly or a Droplet, you can beat a pure Yami board. You might be able to beat a pure Mitsurugi board. It could also be Dark Ruler, but I like Dark Ruler a lot at the moment. I might actually prefer Dark Ruler over Droplet.
I mean, it depends on what you want to go for game 1. I think that like in game 1, maybe you would like before siding, maybe even going first, you would rather have a Droll in your hand than a Dark Ruler.
Right.
And then the side deck, you can side in like you're playing Thrust, so all of your side deck is probably going to be like a lot of Thrust targets and Border Breakers and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of up to you. In that respect.
I wouldn't be too concerned about my going first with a random Dark Ruler or Fuva in hand. I feel like that would be fine. I feel like I'd be able to discard it for Lubellion, the Searing Dragon, or anything like that. I wouldn't be too concerned having a dead card in my hand, and if I'm playing almost 60 cards, I think it's fine if I have like 3 Fuva and 3 Dark Ruler in the deck. As long as those are, I feel like those are the ones where like actually games become winnable. Like that's what I want, because realistically, I think we're gonna draw like 1, maybe 2 non-engine going second, not more if we're playing this high of a deck count. No. So on average, we're gonna see maybe 1 non-engine, 2 if we're lucky going second. And I think these are the ones where like Fuva, Droll, Super Poly, Dark Ruler, those are the ones where I would say if I have 1 plus strong engine, that game probably is winnable.
Yeah. So I think that if you are going towards 60, which is great. First of all, Fua and Droll are especially good in branded because they're a spellcaster and a winged beast, which work with high spirits. So it's never like dead in your hand. You can replace that with any branded card, which is good. More cards that I can suggest. 60 cards. I don't know your feelings about grass. It's a bit wild, maybe.
I mean, all I know about that is that it's been standard in Master Duel for a long time, right? That was essentially the way to play branded in Master Duel. I guess the question is, I wouldn't want to change my deck too much just for 1 grass, but when we're already at like 50,
no, I don't think you need to.
I guess is grass good enough as a card to just randomly activate in this particular build? Like, is it going to be worth?
It usually is because it gets you. It acts as like another copy of like Foolish Burial. Even if the mill gets you 1 engine piece, like 1 Shrouded, 1 Tragedy, 1 like there's so many things that just unlock in the graveyard. 1 Serenir, then it is worth it. In your engine, like your deck, it's obviously 60 cards, so you're not gonna mill out your entire engine. So grass is an option. I think when it comes to 60. Maybe now Gold Sark becomes a little bit better. Maybe in 50, like maybe we don't have room for that, but maybe for consistency, maybe another Gold Sark or even another Cartesia for consistency could be goal.
I don't mind going all the way to 60 just to be able to try all the things.
Yeah, you can do it. And then the other 2 cards potentially are going to be Called By and Blackout Laughs.
Right.
I think that's it. Like you're covered on anywhere else.
So Called By mainly to beat Ash Blossom. I mean, just nice to have. I think it's a good card in the current format in general.
Yeah, it's just a good card.
And it puts us to a clean 60 with the 3rd Cartesia. You know what? For now, I feel like I can get behind all of these decisions.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah. No, this looks like something I would start with. Okay, let me sort this a little bit.
So yeah, I when we were discussing it at the beginning, people were saying like I'm mad for playing Desires and Branded. I think guys, we've been playing Desires and Branded for like forever. It is sometimes Pot of Greed. It's not that bad, especially in 60. You're not like your chances of actually hurting yourself doing it are very slim. So it is an option if you guys want to try it out in your builds. It's not in the structure, but it is a cool card.
I wouldn't hate it, to be honest. I think it's like a matter where there's sometimes decks that can't play Desires completely risk-free, but it still could be worth it. Like another example of this is like 2019 Salamangrade, where you did play 1 copy of the field spell and you did only have 1 copy of Gazelle, but it was like you would look at your hand and you would be like, okay, can I already play the game? If yes, I will get those searchable cards out of my deck immediately and then activate the Desires after. And it could be the same with Branded, where it's like, okay, if I don't have a starter in my hand, I might be willing to take the risk of banishing a 1 of Branded in red or something. Because you banish Branded in red in end phase, you go for Branded Banishment instead. You banish Mercurier, well, you're gonna have 1 less interruption, but at least you're able to play the game or bait out an Ash Blossom or something like that. That makes your Branded Fusion resolve. So I could see it. I would have to play the deck first because it's the type of card that I would in this deck. I would only put it in if maybe I feel like the consistency or ceiling isn't high enough. Then I would go and try the Desires.
Yeah, for sure. Chat makes a really good point that I forgot. 60 cards really calls for Branded in White.
Branded in White?
We need to find room for that. So Branded in White it's a Miracle Fusion, basically, with Albaz. Sometimes, especially when you resolve Grass, it's even like normal summon, get Branded in White. I'll find Branded Fusion somewhere else. Because your graveyard setup is so good. So I think when it comes to Grass, it's good. Maybe you can take out the Called By, Gold Sark.
I like Called By, I like Gold Sark. I'm looking at the 3rd Cartesia, or I'm looking at maybe 1 of the Fallen at the Virtuous.
Maybe you can go for for 1 Cartesia. We already have 5.
Okay. I do like this. As someone who's played a little bit of Branded, not the most, but like a little bit, especially in Master Duel. It's something I can get behind.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. I think Droll is a hot take, but you know, you're still.
I'm just
Joshua
looking
Schmidt,
for
so
ways to
I'll give
make
you that.
the higher ceiling matchups beatable, because I feel like going second, I'm not too scared of decks like Draco Tail and Pure Yummy. I feel like those are beatable with most of the, even with maybe just Engine, because the Fallen at the Virtuous is a really good card against Yummy because it forces the Herald immediately, because sending from extra deck to grave does work under Herald. Herald only affects hand and main deck, so
Yeah.
just forcing, because, and it's cost as well, so you do go +1 in the long run against the Herald. So
Yeah.
I think Pure Yummy is quite beatable by just activating like something like that and then having a solid engine hand. Whereas I just don't see myself beating decks like Yummy Mitsu or K9 Crystron, and Droll is one of the cards that gives you a chance there.
Yeah.
That's why it's that's why it's a priority for me in terms of non-engine. I really like this split at the moment in these side of like high ceiling decks where you play like Fuva and then Droll or another Charmy and like Super Poly Dark Ruler. That I think that's a very good non-engine split.
Yeah, very very good point. I like that. Very
Walk me
clean.
through the extra deck. So okay, Lubellion for sure a one of. You said the only 2-ofs are, we only played 2-2-ofs, so I'm assuming that's Albion and Granguino.
Yeah, it again, it depends. You do have flex spots, so
Okay.
you could theoretically go for like 2 Mirror Jade, if you want. So here's a few things that we need. We need Titaniclad, Rindbrum, and Lubellion the Searing Dragon.
Titaniclad, Rindbrum. We need, okay, I have Lubellion already. We need Super Poly targets, right? We need Mud Dragon of the Swamp. We need Garura.
Yeah. How are you feeling about Mud Dragon? You think it's necessary?
How
I mean,
else are
Herald,
we gonna Super
but
Poly a Herald of the Arclight?
yeah. That's rough. Okay, we'll find room for it. We have room for it. It's okay. So we want to be able to. So there's the new guy. You can add in Brigrand as a swap for the new guy.
Yeah.
For the Stigmata Dragon, if
Right.
you want to play it. That is.
I'd like to try the
would,
new tool, the new toy syndrome.
Yeah, I think that I would personally take out Sanctifier.
Ooh, all right. We are not locking. Okay.
We're not locking. It's a card that I always like to say in my videos that it's a really good answer for like a Fua, right? You get to summon once and then you get like a free Cartesia or Albaz during your opponent's turn and you just give them 1 draw.
Yeah.
It is a good card in that sense, but in any other sense, like, you know, give them another draw and full combo because your combo is not that long anyway. So I'm personally not playing Sanctifier if I'm not locking. It's not really...
Walk me through it. I normal summon Aluber, I search Branded Fusion, I activate Branded Fusion, my opponent Fuvas. What do I do? Without Sanctifier.
Without Sanctifier.
Yeah.
So theoretically what you can do is go for there's obviously several options. You can go for a Mirror Jade with just 2 draws, so banishing your own Albion. That's option 1. Option 2 is going for Titaniclad, sending Lubellion. Then you tribute the Titaniclad, summon the Lubellion, get Quem in the end phase, and then you have setup for like Albaz or Cartesia Engrave. There's also another option where you can go into for like a 2. You can go for like Albion, the Branded Dragon, and then banish like a Cartesia and Albaz from grave. Go for a Granguignol. Granguignol can then send you Titaniclad or Lubellion, then you can place your Albion in the graveyard, Quem in the end phase, stuff like that. So there's a lot of lines that can do 1 to 2 draws, and Sanctifier is again just 1 draw, but I think you have like solid lines under Fua.
Okay, I'll move the Albion to the end alongside the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, because those I'm not undecided on those. What else? Okay. What am I missing? Guardian Chimera, is that a thing?
I don't think I think Guardian Chimera is a bit out of fashion just because branded in red isn't like the, if you have 1 set, you probably want to prioritize making a Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, and it's going to be banishment. So there's 2 options: Chaos Star Source Dragon, and then Borreload Furious Dragon.
Yeah.
If you like one of these in particular, then you can add it in.
Yeah.
And then I think that we do want at least one Despia monster in the extra deck just for Granganil to be a little bit more versatile. So you can go for like a Perskinion that sometimes can steal your opponent's Herald of the Arclight from their graveyard, and or Queritus, which is good in a lot of other matchups as well. If I would have played Ecclesia, I would go for Lulu, because there is just like a 2-card combo that sets up Ecclesia in the end phase with Lulu.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I don't
awesome.
see at the moment before the new cards come out. I don't really see the huge appeal to the main deck Ecclesia. Now that you say it, I remember we forgot it. But
I think that's
I don't know.
fair.
I don't feel like I wanna do an Ecclesia before the new cards. Especially if it's gonna create more tension on the extra deck spaces even more.
Yeah, it's already packed. I think the last card that I would consider is Secretarion.
Secretarion, because we can summon
so first of all, it has its uses against Dragontail, obviously. It is a super poly target as well.
Yeah.
But it has good effects, and your deck is full of spellcasters and dragons. So, and shuffling them back is pretty worth it.
So we can revive Cartesia, we can revive Quem by shuffling in like an Albaz or a Bestial or something. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is 18 right now. Unless I'm missing something super obvious, I feel like cutting 3 from this wouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, I don't think you're missing anything like exceptionally. No, I don't think you're missing out on anything.
Right, I can see getting away without Guardian Chimera these days, because I feel like nowadays there's a lot of other valuable options for your branded in red or branded in banishment.
Agree.
I do think you probably don't play Chaos and Furious Dragon.
It's a valid take.
They feel like very similar in terms of what they do and the situations they would come up in. However, I feel like Chaos being able to pop 2 probably better.
Yeah, I agree. There's cool stuff that you can do with Furious. You can protect it with opening, so you get a free pop. But Chaos is more value, just pops 2.
Yeah, I like Chaos.
And then the last one is Sanctifier.
You cut Sanctifier, and then okay, sure. I would be tempted as someone, and I guess this is something that it depends a lot on various reasons. But I feel like Albion is the kind of card that as someone who hasn't played this deck in a while, I would probably be more comfortable with having it. Just if I ever get caught in under a Fuva and I'm not entirely sure how I best go for like another compromise yet, and it seems like the easiest thing to go for. Just give him 1 draw. Don't make him, because the thing is, like, even if you know a line under Fuva that gives more draws, that is still good, you still end up creating a more complex game state because your opponent is going to have more cards. So I think especially for maybe beginners of this deck, which I would consider myself someone who's been playing this version of the deck for the first time, essentially. I think it would make some game states a little bit easier to have it. At the same time, if you're on a budget and you want to try this deck out after the Chronicles deck, and this is the one card that isn't in here and is quite expensive, it is nice to hear that it is somewhat optional. I guess that is good news. I think for myself, if I'm gonna bring this deck to locals next week to try it out, I would probably keep it in there just as like a safety net, and I would probably cut the Secretarion, or I would just say I don't need another target for the Grand Guignol to summon the Proskinian because I'm already playing double Quem. So that would probably be my cut. But I think we're fine to leave it on 16 for now, just with by discussing like the potential reasons to cut this or that card. I think that's completely fine, because I do think it's nice to be able to basically present this as a full budget deck if you take out the Sanctifier, right? Like, it is essentially what's the most expensive card after Sanctifier here? It's like Secretarion is like a couple euros, I think, because it's actually quite in demand at the moment. Other than that, I feel like everything is you
don't even have to play it, but
right. Okay, I guess you can replace Fuwa with different non-engine. At the same time, Fuwa is like the card at the moment that, like, I suppose anyone should have. What's the cheapest Fuwa at?
I don't know.
10?
15.
15 for one Fuva
Okay.
super rare from Rarity Collection. Let me look that up real quick.
I don't know. But yeah,
Fuva.
like there's so many budget ways to play this deck now.
So a Mega Pack Fuva is 14. And a super rare Fuva from Rarity Collection is 12. Okay, yeah.
Not too shabby.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, you would definitely want to play Fua. I agree.
Yeah.
In the extra deck, I think that the 3 cards that I would consider on the chopping block would be Sanctifier. But I totally agree with your point on being like an easy card to use. People understand the concept of this card, and it gets you like direct advantage. Despite what you said about Herald, again, I'm not 100% convinced that Mud Dragon is necessary. Sometimes Garura is even just a send off of Granguignol just to draw. Sometimes you already have all your stuff, you just send it to draw. And then the other thing about Proskinion, especially in a meta where you have end boards that are like light and dark, even normal summoning an Eluber and super polying the Eluber with a light and a dark monster, sometimes that also definitely happens. But these are definitely the 3 cards that could be cuttable, and Secretarian as well. It's definitely not mandatory.
Yeah. Another thing, I guess, since we are about to head into some quick side deck stuff, I do think there is some merit, probably, even though it's pretty toxic. But I think this deck produces some long game ones, so I think there could be some merit to playing like a target to lock with Sanctifier if we're going first, right? Post side.
Yeah, I think that if you are considering to play it,
yeah, like if I'm playing Sanctifier anyways, like what's stopping me from throwing like one, I don't know, like one of the DDD thingies in the side deck for going first?
No, for nothing.
Just in case, I have a 30-minute game 1 after Dark Ruler.
Oh, you're saying let's go for the fair lock, right?
What, the DDD one?
No, I'm saying like let's not main it. Let's do it in the side if we're in a pinch.
Right. That's a compromise.
That is a compromise. I would take that for sure. Not get your hands too dirty. I would play Edo. It's just the hardest one to out. Probably.
Edo is the best one.
Yeah, I think so. It's just like you can summon, you can tribute over it. You're just like, it's the next best thing. My boy Edo.
I don't even have an Edo, but I don't even think I have a DDD Requiem. I don't know.
Edo was in the tins as a QCR, I think.
Oh, was it?
Last year, yeah, it was. You can use DDD. Yeah, I mean, you won't have a problem.
Oh, well, worst case, I'll just not side it at locals. That's also fine. I'll just not do it to my locals.
Yeah. Okay, so cards in the side. I think for going first, I do like to play an additional 2 copies of Fusion Duplication.
I like that.
Yeah, Fusion Duplication is a great card. Opening a Fusion Duplication, like cold opening it, no thrust, feels so good. You can copy Super Poly with it. You can copy Branded Fusion. You can copy Deployment.
Yeah.
This card's really cool.
I like that.
And then an amount of debarriers.
Yeah, we're going to play debarriers for sure.
So an amount of debarriers is definitely warranted.
At least one for thrust, because we're playing a thrust deck. There's got to be 1 copy of it. And I would also say probably because I didn't put it in the main deck, I think Black Goat or any Yummy deck is also good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
So I think the 2 cards, since you already have Droplet and Dark Ruler in the main.
No, Droplet isn't.
The next... Oh, Droplet is not in the main? Okay, so we can consider Droplet. And how do you feel about evenly matched?
In a vacuum, I do like it, and in the current format, I have my concerns when it mainly comes to the new time rules, because I feel like this deck already creates a couple of pretty long game 1s, either when you go first and your opponent plays into it, because we don't like lock the opponent out of playing. It's like we do make a board that most decks will find it worth playing into, I think. And the same is true going second. We will probably watch their combo more often than not, and then try to play with like a Super Poly or a Dark Ruler. In a lot of cases, we won't be able to OTK, but we'll be able to break the board and go to an end phase that alone takes 5 minutes. And it's like, if I produce another game like that post side, I'm not sure how big of a problem that is in terms of like the 50-minute like double loss situation. This is something that I haven't really encountered this issue in reality yet. It's just something that I keep telling myself about certain options. It's like maybe I'm being a little bit too cautious here. Maybe even it doesn't make games that fast because you just activate it and you know it's too strong and you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do get your point completely. I think that what we've considered like as branded players in like competitive tournaments in the past, that sort of like concessions as Dark Ruler No More or Evenly that give your opponent essentially another turn, combining that with a lock kind of like mitigates that, because I don't have to kill you. I just have to play enough during main phase 2 to achieve some sort of win condition. But I do again agree that, I mean, your point was correct about time. But I think this deck needs the side deck of this deck, especially with 60 cards. It needs blowout. So I think like Lightning Storm, Duster, stuff like that, things you can search off of Thrust to just clear the board completely. I don't know like how many going. Like, it has to be like good cards for going second, and most of them are already in your deck, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if I already have a lot of the good cards for going second, do I really need to cite that much more for going second? Like, what do I have to take out going second? Like, what kind of engine is the first one you're looking to cut when you're going second? I'm assuming like a Quem is a pretty easy side out when I'm going second.
Yeah, so I think there's multiple things that you can side out going second. Things like even the Bestial Lubellion. Sometimes I would cut it going second just because I don't really need like another Bestial in my hand. Cards like one copy of High Spirits, the Fallen, the Virtuous.
Yeah.
Cards like going second. Sometimes I would even cut the if I really need to, even the Banishment or Duplication would just go. Okay. One Quem is fine, even one Aluber sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's fat to cut.
I don't hate giving Evenly a try. It's like if I run into the problem with the timer, I can still, you know, cut it eventually, but I don't hate trying it. You make a good point that these kind of cards are maybe better if you decide to include a lock in the main deck. Because then, you know, go battle phase, lock, clear their board, and then main phase 2 just get to the Edo and then call it a day. Yeah. But I'm interested in just to see how Evenly works in the current format, and maybe it doesn't make games that long because ultimately your opponent might not have that many cards left after Evenly, so it might be significantly faster than playing into a full board. So. That's okay. Yeah, I think the only alternative here, and that is something that plays more into the time rules like in a better way, is considering cards like Purulia or Meowls, because they sometimes force the opponent to play a shorter turn, right? Because your opponent is like less incentivized to do all the things. Like when you put a Yami Mitsurugi deck under Purulia, they might skip a couple of steps in their combo. They might not commit to both, or they might, like Meowls, they might not commit to bridging one engine into the other because that requires a bunch of summons from the graveyard, and that might end up making their turn shorter, even though it might ultimately give you, like, even if the Evenly in theory gives you a higher win rate, the Charmy might produce the faster game, I suppose.
That's a solid point.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you have that you still feel like is missing. Because again, we said we have a lot of good board breakers in the main. We have Droll in Purulia and Fualos, great cards in the main.
Yeah.
Evenly's and Duster and Lightning Storm, stuff like that, we're all already considering, and we have our going first package. Do you want to like maybe consider cards for the Crystron matchup, maybe to save your life if that comes to it? That could be good in other matchups as well.
I was about to throw Purulia in here because there's a few matchups that we're not handling super well at the moment, and that is namely like the Ryziel Protoss decks. We can't really board break those. And against K9 Crystron, I do think it's like the next best thing to a Fuva, because it does give us a couple of draws to try and find answers to something.
Yeah, I like Purulia.
Yeah. And then I don't know, is there anything else you're thinking of when you're saying the Crystron matchup? Like, is there anything else that you feel like could help this deck beat a Mjolnir lock? Because I don't know how we would consistently prevent it, other than maybe like Imperm, I guess. But I don't really want to be citing Imperm for K9 Crystron specifically.
No, it's gonna be hard. Maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking about Bestials or Bell, but again, Canine Ripper is a thing, so you're gonna need to do a couple of things and draw.
You'd
like, a
have
few
to pull
things,
off
and
like some miracle as like pairing a Bestial with
Yeah.
something else. You'd have
you
to
just
like
take
pair.
it on the chin. You just take it on the chin. Just put in cards you need to. You probably can prevent the lock.
Yeah. What about
What are you
Magnamut?
thinking about? Like, yeah, I was gonna say Magnamut. Magnamut could be a good option for sure.
It's funny because I
even
would
cards like-
probably put Magnamut in against K9 Crystron, just because there's a small chance you draw. Like if you have Charmies in your deck, Perulias and Meowls, and they decide to push into it because you're playing a 60 card branded deck. I could see, you know, sometimes being able to draw like Serenir and Magnamut together, and then you actually prevent the Mjolnir through a Ripper, because one of them will resolve, and you know that seems neat. And in a lot of other matchups like Yummy or whatever, it's just basically a starter going second because and a body on the board.
Yeah. So maybe going in with Bestials is good. How do you feel about Phantasme?
Phantasme. I don't
we used
like
to
it.
play it in branded.
I don't like it with Evenly. I guess. I guess if we didn't take the Evenly approach, I think it'd be fine into like Yummy. I guess it could also just be for certain matchups where Evenly is not that good, because I'm not sure if we're aiming to side deck Evenly for Yummy, for example. Even though you could, I guess, if you find a way to force the Herald, then Evenly becomes pretty good. And if not, then Evenly could be your way to force the Herald. But I'm not sure if I would want to. I guess if you draw Evenly with Phantasma, you can shuffle it back, but that kind of like defeats the purpose. We do need a little bit more for going first, right? We are siding out 3 Dark Ruler and 3 Fuvas, and currently we only have 4 cards that work going first all the time. So the last 2 in the side deck should probably be cards that work going first in basically any matchup. Which at the moment, that it could just be the remaining 2D barriers, as cringe as it is.
Yeah, it could be. I'm thinking out loud, looking at some of my deck lists and seeing. Yeah, you make a good point. We need to side out 6 cards. That's true. Going first. Yeah, it could be a couple more D barriers. Theoretically, it could be droplets, which could be used like going first and second, but I don't know how it is, how good it is like putting into your deck going first.
Edo is 5. Yeah, Edo is 5, but we are not siding the Black Goat in every matchup, I guess. Right, so.
Well, it could still be useful in any matchup, right?
Yeah.
It's better than a Fua.
But it's not better than a D barrier.
It's not better than a D barrier. Another cool thing that we once tried was it's kind of weird, like going second, a Draco Tail package where you play 3 Ketu, Arthalion, and just like one of the dragons. Even you can then include like a Jizukiro or something like that. So going second, you have another way to just like break a board, start your fusion, and get cards in rotation. Kind of interesting to think about whether you put it or people at home can maybe tech something.
Oh yeah, speaking of Jizukiro, how do we beat Liger? Can we? Currently, I don't think we can, right?
Well, you have.
We can beat one with Titanic Lad, right?
Yes. You do have one with.
Is there any merit? Like, how's the matchup? Like, is there a realistic win con if they go double Liger? Like, can we actually like recycle the Titanic Lad or?
So that's why I was thinking about Jizukiro just in terms of Lunalight, and then I was thinking about the whole Ketu package.
Yeah.
That if you do play the Ketu package and Arthalion, then you go branded fusion for Jizukiro and Albaz. You make a Titanic Lad, then Arthalion can bring back the Jizukiro. Titanic Lad beats over one, and Jizukiro deals with the other. But that is also considering that you're not also dealing with an SP and a Baguska.
Yeah.
So
all right, the Baguska is definitely a problem.
It's kind of cringe. It is what it is.
What about a copy of Lunalight Perfume Dancer?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. We also tested this out instead of with Granguignol. Not bad.
I don't know if we can make room
Is
in
it enough?
the extra deck for it, but it could be a side deck card, I think.
Yeah,
Where
for
it's
sure.
like
I think
you
that's
make
quite
one
fair.
concession to Lunalight, but like for the Lunalight deck, this is a completely useless card in any other matchup. Funnily enough, it's even a super poly target when you go first against it. Like you might be able to just super poly and summon it.
Yeah, search perfume, full combo.
Yeah. It might
One
be
more
worth it.
D-barrier.
It might be worth it. Yeah, we need one more card for going first. I do think the best one at the moment is probably just Barrier.
Yeah, I think D-barrier is fine here.
Mm-hmm.
We're already playing Called By in the main.
Yeah. And this
Yeah,
is
I think
where
this
if I don't find a card that locks my opponent or I don't want to play it, I think it's just, I mean, okay, D barrier is technically the same thing, but I was about to say you can replace the Edo with a D barrier, kind of like trying to do the same thing but in a different fashion.
Yeah. Wow, I just remembered that we used to play one Masquerade on the side, and that thing is irrelevant.
The life point one,
Tax,
yeah, of
Tax
course. Yeah.
Dragon.
Yeah,
Completely
no, that card has basically died now. It's lost all of its purpose.
Oh man, I like it so much. Against Malice, dude, just putting it up against the Malice deck is already pretty good without time considerations.
Fair enough.
Yeah. This looks like a branded deck.
That was the goal. Nice. It is a branded deck and it plays both of the new cards. That's awesome. Yeah. No, I'll probably try this next week at locals. I will probably not play it perfectly because the deck I think is very hard, especially like you said earlier, when it's like about those drawing your 3, 4, 5 card combinations and trying to find the optimal routing through it. But that is somewhat the fun of it for me too. Like it's whenever I'm playing branded, it's like it's on the one hand frustrating because you're making mistakes. On the other hand, it's kind of fun because there's a lot of different routes you can take, a lot of different things you can attempt, and it's a very fun deck. So I am excited to try it out, and thank you so much for walking me through the deck building process. Before I let you go, I hope you have a little bit more time.
Yeah, I do.
I want to very quickly talk about the 2 new cards that they've announced. So let me pull these up real quick.
Yeah.
Because there is 2 more cards in Burst Protocol that somewhat work for branded, but I have my doubts. At least my initial reaction to these was I am not sure how good these cards are in the traditional branded approach, which is basically what we've just built. You know, this is individual card choices aside, this is the approach for branded at the moment. You know, fusion based, whether you build it 45, 50 or 60, whatever, but like you know, you're trying to resolve branded fusion and so on and so forth, and like the way that this deck plays is pretty standard, I would say. Even though the lists vary, this is the approach that essentially everyone is taking. And the 2 new branded cards I feel like don't fit into this approach super well, at least not seemingly, because they promote more of the synchro strategy in branded, which I always felt like was fun but never good enough to actually make people choose that route over branded fusion. So do you feel like these 2 have a place in this deck, or do they open up a completely new strategy? Like, do you play this together with branded fusion, for example?
Okay, so I think first of all, both of those things could be right. I've had a good 24 hours to just like sit and steam and cook and look at people's combos and stuff like that. At first, I reacted exactly as you just did. I was like, these are great. In my reaction video, I was like, these are great. I'm not sure how you actually fit these into a branded deck.
Exactly.
Is it just a new deck? Does it become an engine now, in like a generic engine to make stuff? The more I've seen people experiment with it and trying it myself, I think that yes, you do include at least the Albaz in a deck, even in a deck that plays branded fusion. Simply for the fact, and yes, you will have to play Ecclesia. You will probably have to play the Golden Sword Soul. There's just like things that you will have to do.
Yeah.
But the fact is that being able to summon a card that gets you to another card, that Ecclesia can get you to an additional copy of Albaz, and of course, have a completely separate avenue for playing if you're like, you get interrupted. Just one copy of Albaz, special summon it by sending a monster. You don't even have to get to Branded Fusion in your combo. You still get to the same end board without resolving Branded Fusion once.
Right.
Just with a single Albaz. So
Okay.
why wouldn't you play a card that just gives you a whole other avenue for play that is not normal summon reliant?
Mhm.
The interesting thing is that it's always treated as Fallen of Albaz. So you're going to have to maybe, you're going to have to cut some Albaz for this.
Yeah, I think in an ideal world where they do go together in the fusion deck, I think you always only play one copy of the OG Fallen of Albaz because it's the one that you want to set up in your graveyard for the opponent's turn, but it's never actually been a good draw. Except for like in very few situations going second where it was like, okay, I can normal summon it, use its effect, and it's good. But for the most part, it was more like an engine requirement that was used as a disruption on the opponent's turn, but you never actually wanted to see it. So having a card that actually does something when you draw it, but still is treated as additional copies of Fallen of Albaz in your deck, essentially allowing you to just play one of the engine requirement one, and then fill the rest with the good ones that are good to draw. In theory, that's ideal. That's also, I think, the best part about this card is that it replaces Fallen of Albaz as an engine requirement with a better draw, which is one of the few ways to actually improve the card quality in Branded. I think that's the outstanding thing here. Like, whenever they make a new optional card for Branded, it's always like, well, you can take out one engine requirement for the other. This card actually allows you to take out one of the core engine requirements that's always been in the deck, would probably never go away otherwise, and replace that with a better card. I think that is exceptional here. The only problem that I have with it at that point is it forces you to play other engine requirements, like you said, Ecclesia, Golden Sword Soul, and stuff like that, which is like, okay, it's not just a straight up positive for the deck, because you do have to make concessions at other places, which is not necessarily bad in terms of design. It's just I was wondering if that's something that people are going to prefer. So what is that when you say this card performs full combo for Branded, even without resolving Branded Fusion? What does that look like? Can you walk me through like an example when let's say I normal summon an Aluber, it gets impermed, and I have access to this in my hand? Like, what can I do?
Yeah, so if you have access to this in your hand, let's say your Aluber does get impermed, that was your only line of play. I'll special summon the new Albaz. I'll send Albion the Branded Dragon to the graveyard. On summon, it's going to summon Ecclesia. Ecclesia then can tag out into the Golden Sword Soul. And then theoretically, if you do play the Synchro card, so the card itself is good on its own. Like you said, it's a Fallen of Albaz name, but it also has an effect.
Yep.
If you do just play the Ecclesia Synchro, then you go and Synchro summon using your Golden Sword Soul and the Albaz. Now the Ecclesia can tag out and banish itself, summon Quem from deck. You chain the Golden Sword Soul to summon a spellcaster whose attack equals to its own defense from the graveyard, non-targeting. Then Quem on chain 2 can dump Cartesia to the grave. Now you get to summon Cartesia, and you basically have Granguignol, Quem, that hasn't activated her effect to summon from the graveyard yet, and Albion in the graveyard for setup for, again, whatever.
And I have a Cartesia on board, right?
Yeah, and you have a Cartesia that you can, like, if you talked about the line with Aluber, you can fuse Cartesia and the Aluber. Granguignol will send something. You can then bring back the Cartesia with Quem, and then you have 2 fusion effects in the end phase. You can get Albaz in rotation. You already have Albaz in rotation, theoretically. And you get the Synchro back during the end phase, which also does a whole lot of other stuff during your opponent's turn. It can summon, again, any one of the girls and Fallen of Albaz itself. And you don't need to resolve Branded Fusion for that. You get to Mirror Jade, you get Granguignol, you get 2 sets in the end phase, stuff like that.
Okay. So in this case, it's like a matter of these cards are worth including as sort of like a backup strategy in case you don't find Branded Fusion. You would be willing to give up maybe some engine spaces in the main deck for some of the requirements for this, and also a space, at least one slot in the extra deck for the Synchro that you would only be making just in case you can't get to your Branded Fusion. Because one of the problems with Branded Fusion is that even if it gets ashed, you cannot make Synchros. So that's kind of like how, if the activation is negated by an Omni Negate, could you still?
I don't think so. I think it's a restriction that is separate from the effect. Similar to Pot of No, I don't think it is. Same goes for fusion deployment. That also locks for the entire turn, and it's another
Yeah.
restriction that is not tied to the effect. I think that we're 24 hours after these cards were released. I don't necessarily have all the answers, but I think that it really depends on your approach as a branded player. I think that now you get a set of extra tools that can do so many different things
Mhm.
that if you want to say, I'm not playing the super optimized build to beat Yomi Mitsurugi, but I am playing like a high ceiling, high engine branded deck that can
Mhm.
fork into different avenues, even with branded fusion, no branded fusion. And you can have fun with the lore and the power of the deck and like getting new things, new toys in rotation.
Yeah.
Or in the bare minimum, I think that you do still play. You still, I think, probably should play the new Albaz. I would say, even with an
Right.
Ecclesia, that again is not. Ecclesia is definitely not bad, especially going second. Going second, Ecclesia can summon this,
Mhm.
and you know, or Albaz. So I think it is pretty interesting. But again, we're like
Yep.
24 hours in. We'll see what happens.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see both things. I could see these being included in some of the higher ceiling branded decks, higher engine count branded decks, but I could also see this spark a new direction for the deck, which I think is, I feel like from my perspective, it's something that the deck needed for it to be more attractive to me as someone who hasn't been playing a lot of branded in recent years. I always thought the synchro stuff that they made for the deck was really cool, and I always wanted it to be better. But it was always, I feel like from their perspective too, it was kind of difficult to give branded good cards because they would usually just end up being shoved into the fusion version of the deck and not actually help the other versions. But it's cool stuff. And now they managed to make something that definitely benefits the synchro version more than other versions. So that is cool. Okay.
I think that one last thing that I'm going to say is that we are still due for another Sword Soul Synchro in V-Jump.
Right. The picture of that one, the artwork has been announced, but we don't know the effect.
Yes. We don't know what it is. We do know it's a level 8 synchro.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that these two cards, like this is not a coincidence.
Yeah.
This is definitely intentional. And I think that even outside of branded, I think people can be excited that this new Albaz being able to access even for Sword Soul, who has been
this is a good
dormant
card
for
in
a
Sword Soul.
while.
It's a good card in Sword Soul. Yeah.
So imagine you're locked into level 8, but the new level 8 is also a really good Sword Soul card. This can open up a whole new avenue. I think this Albaz has a really bright future also outside of branded. I'm really excited to see what people cook up with it.
And even Dogmatica, right? Even Dogmatica, you can use this card. You can just, the other Ecclesia. Yeah.
It just becomes Nadir Servant. You just send something to the graveyard, summon Ecclesia from the deck.
Yeah.
I tried testing it a bit. It's not particularly good.
It's still Dogmatica. It's still gonna have problems with power level and ceiling and stuff like that. But it is a good card in other contexts than just branded. Yeah.
Yeah, we needed a Dogmatica card that puts a monster on your opponent's field. That is what we needed.
Oh yeah, because those cards always end up being very healthy Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Yeah, summoning stuff to your opponent's field
like
is
a cannon,
awesome.
It's like a cannon again, but okay, fine. I'll concede to that.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining me on this little segment. It definitely helped me get my thoughts in order about the new branded stuff. I appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time to hop on stream.
Of course, appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to hear your experience with the branded deck.
I'll probably, if I can, I have to check if I have all the cards, but I have some Chronicles decks coming in the mail, so that shouldn't be a big problem. So I'll probably be bringing it to locals on Tuesday, recording my gameplay, and then we'll see how it goes. All right.
Great. I appreciate you having me. Have a good rest of the stream.
Bye. All right, gamers. That was Galzo. If you're watching this, I'll probably upload this at least on the Plus channel. I'm not sure if it's main channel material. It might be a little long for that, but I'll throw a link to Galzo's YouTube channel in the description if you're seeing this on the Plus channel. And please go check him out. He's gonna do a lot more branded content than I usually do, and it's definitely a place to go if you're a fan of the branded deck. I can show you the deck real quick again. Yes, of course, this is what we came up with just now.